All right. Live we are, but breathe, we must let it. Do you guys like my Yoda? Do you like my Yoda dialect or whatever? Just got to connect Facebook and Instagram, and we're going to party. It's going to be a gas, and I think we're good. So, welcome in, everybody. It is the Chad centric version, once again, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. You guys, I love you. I appreciate you. And I just want to remind you, you can connect with me over on X, where a lot of conversation takes place at Chad and Jensen. Connect over there. Uh, but tonight finds us on the 23rd of June, chilling a little more than a week now into the 6-week NFL summer. So we're inching through it. We'll get there. Training camp will be here before we know it. We already know, for example, that the rookies report on the 16th of July. And then the veterans, thus training camp beginning in earnest July 22nd. It'll be here before you know it, but it's still a little bit of a row left to hoe. All right. Yeah, here to party hard like Andrew WK. Papa Bear, as is his way, more often than not, the first super chat. Jumping in. Thank you, brother. This is good news to my ears, but I'm going to read it so everyone can hear it. It says, "Good evening, Broncos country. Hashtag 13 and 4 plus plus plus." That means Super Bowl because you got the bye. Plus number one is you won in the divisional round. Plus number two is you won the conference championship game. Pardon me. And number three, of course, is you win the Super Bowl. Frog in my throat. Hold on one sec. So I love it, dude. He says, though, "I'm slowly getting better. Thanks for your support and prayers." This is what we want to hear, and so stoked for you and your family, big dog. Thank you for sharing that update with us. And as always, buddy, you're in our thoughts and prayers, and appreciate your support more than you know, big dog. Thank you. Some other hellos, Big Earn. What's up, pal? Good to see you. Taylor jumping in with a super chat. Hey, chat, keep up the great work. Thank you, buddy. 13 and 4, which matches over here, at least with the regular season record anyway, of the Papa Bear. Love it, dude. Thanks, pal. He says, "Go Denver Broncos, MHH for life." You the man, dude. Thank you, Taylor. Also, we have David Yunkin jumping in too with a super chat. Love it, dude. Thank you. And he says, "Great news, Papa Bear. Who is ready for the season to start?" Man, I am. But again, we got to wait a little bit longer, but it won't be too long. We'll get through it together. What's up, Mike Thompson? Good to see you. Last time I did, haha, this is good. Last time I did X, it was too wild to ride. Okay, that took a turn I wasn't anticipating. Daniel, what's up? Greg, what's up? All right, so first things first, let's get to the news of the day, the actual news. Your Denver Broncos, and I guess I'll do a scratch and sniff. It's more fun. It's more fun. Hang tight, guys, while I bring up the actual article. You can see the headline here: Broncos hire former NBA executive as chief technology officer. Let me blow it up. All right. So that's the headline. Let me pause this video. It's going to follow us. Now I got to close it out. All right. So Broncos have hired new executive. They announced it on Monday, the addition of Daniel Brusilovsky as chief technology officer. Super exciting, right? He's however, there is some really cool fan-oriented takeaways from this. Formerly the Golden State Warriors vice president of technology, Brusilovsky will be in charge of all technology services and systems for the Broncos. That includes the facility, Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit, and Power Field at Mile High, all that stuff. But the coolest thing here is it's about he's being brought on, yes, to elevate the technical stuff, blah, 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 but it's about enhancing the fan experience. So that could lead to a better Broncos app because he was the brainchild behind the Golden State Warriors app. Broncos app is kind of Brusilovsky could be involved in that. And that's pretty much it. He's got his fingerprints on some big high-level events and stuff like that, like the NBA All-Star Game, a lot of NBA stuff, basketball, college basketball, March Madness, etc. But that's the actual news of the day. Now, are we writing home about it? Not necessarily. But to me, the biggest takeaway is that once again, it shows that the Walton Penner ownership group knows how its bread gets buttered, knows that it's about the fans. And they've not only prioritized Broncos country and the fans, but they continue to invest in enhancing the experience. Now, obviously, they put over $100 million in stadium upgrades at Empower Field. The big new screen at the stadium, it looks phenomenal. And word on the street is they're looking around for a new stadium, and there's some rumors and all that stuff, right? But where does it start? How do you enhance the fan experience first and foremost? Well, you got to improve the product on the field. And it took them a year or two to get that figured out, but they did when they hired Sean Payton, and the rest is history. So that's I'm by myself today, Big Earn, and we have the Duchess jumping in. What is up? Very generous super chat. Thank you, Michaela. Much love. You know I love you. She says, great wishes for the Papa Bear. Glad you are better. Love all of you. MHH rocks. Go Broncos. Always love hearing from the Duchess. And I can't wait to see you again in October, the meet and greet, week 7, October 19th. That's the Broncos Giants game. Hopefully the football gods serve it up as a nice little revenge game, and we get to see Russell Wilson versus Bo Nix. How dope would that be? So, yes, awesome to see you, Michaela. Hope you're doing well. You've been through some stuff lately, too, yourself. I do not forget these things, as you know. And so you've been in my thoughts and prayers, and I'm sure a lot of people here in the community as well. So hope you're hanging in there, my friend. Just got to wet the whistle. All right. Hey, Greg, what's up, dude? Good to see you on Facebook. Rocking the Bouye jersey still. I love it. Good evening back at you. Hi, Kirk on Facebook. And I think, Patrick, what's up, buddy? Aloha Priest. Countdown is on. 2025 coming up, baby. Indeed. And speaking of that, let me go ahead and get the banner off the screen. I think y'all know what show this is. I wrote an article today. I was kind of inspired by something I read unrelated to the Broncos on NFL.com. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a Broncos version of that. And I'm going to write up. Now, it's a little bit hyperbole, guaranteed risers. All right. So the guaranteed part, okay, hyperbole, but makes for a tasty headline, let's say. But players that are, and yes, just to be clear, Zach off all week, Scott off again tonight. It's just me in the chat. Me and you, the chat. It's just that's it. We're rocking together. But back to this topic here. Let me go to the article. I clicked on the wrong one, Datgummit. All right. I prefer Datgummit because I used to say instead the GD, and I don't like to say that. I shouldn't say that. You violate what you shouldn't. So we're talking here about guaranteed. And again, guys, I know this is hyperbole. There is no guarantee, but it's datgum close to it, in my opinion. We're going to talk through a handful of players, guaranteed risers, or another way to look at this is young Broncos rookies. I removed from the equation because a riser is someone who has already established a certain level of production in the league. So you can either fall from that or rise from that, hence risers and fallers. Rookies don't qualify yet. They haven't taken a snap yet. So this is only veterans, most of which are young veterans, as you'll see. All of them are young, under 30 veterans, but most of them are year 2, year 3 veterans, okay? So first things first, Bo Nix, all right? We're talking about a guy who set multiple team records last year as a rookie, multiple league records. People forget about that. He finished with the second most touchdown passes by a rookie quarterback in NFL history with 29, led all rookies in that department, led all rookies in passing yards, led all rookies in total touchdowns, because people go, oh, well, they might think to themselves, Bo Nix may have led all rookies in touchdown passes, but I bet Jaden Daniels had more total because, he was running so much. Not true. He did have more rushing touchdowns than Bo Nix, but he was so far beneath Bo Nix in terms of passing touchdowns that when you added up Bo's rushing touchdowns, 4, plus his receiving touchdown, I mean, A rookie first-round quarterback scores in all three possible ways that you could on offense. That's insane. So he's obviously insane production as a rookie. And the ironic thing about it is if you go back, it's not ironic. The curious thing about it is if you go back, we know his first quarter of the season was a little bit rough. And yet he still had the Broncos at 2-2 by the time the first 4 games were in the books. But based on those first 4 games, he was averaging 165 passing yards per game, which obviously not so good. Extrapolated over the course of an entire season, that would have put him on pace for under 3,000 passing yards as a 17-game starter. So finishing with 3,775, he obviously turned a corner big time. Starting in October, really just something clicked for him. Things slowed down, finishes as the offensive rookie of the month in October. The rest is history. Then you fast forward to the season's end. He delivers a 10-win season, snaps the heretofore 8-year playoff drought, and we're chugging along. Then you get to, I wonder if I could show that because it's on X. Nah, I better not even chance it. Last time I did it, I got locked out of my Facebook for a week. MHH Facebook. But where's he at today? Bo Nix. I mean, what have we heard about him? He looks even more cool, calm, collected. I've been told by people I trust that he's like way more. Obviously, he was named a team captain last year. But this year, you can see that there's a lot more ownership of that because even as a starting quarterback, when you're a rookie, there's just still some kind of cultural no-nos probably of certain times of a game or during certain points of the season. Veterans don't necessarily want to hear from you. Now, if you're in the huddle, it's a different thing, but I'm talking, 10,000 foot view. But now he's got that season under his belt, and it was a productive one at that. And he's really holding guys accountable, being a good leader, a leader by example, and fiery. Not someone who's going to curse. Obviously, that's not Bo Nix's way, but jawing with his teammates on the other side of the ball, defense. Awesome. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Of all these names here, Bo Nix is actually the closest thing to a guaranteed riser. And it's going to not be easy, honestly, to eclipse and rise above what he produced as a rookie, just shy of 4,000 yards and 29 touchdowns. But I think he's going to do it. Let's pause for a second before we get to some of these other names. Come back to the chat. Yeah, dude. What's up, Gene? What's good, buddy? Saw a thing for us trading for Tyreek Hill. I hope it's not true. Anyways, good to see you. Good to see you, buddy. And it was really cool once again to get to meet you and your pops and Jimmy at the Bridge the Gap show last Friday in Denver. That was really cool. But I honestly don't know what you're talking about. Believe me when I say if there was anything real there, I would already know about it. There would already be an MHH article. So I'm assuming that it's something either like, here's one thing, especially Facebook folks, you got to watch out for. This has been like way worse. I would say just the last like 6 months I've seen it. It's insane. Pages, like fan pages, and you'll see it'll be like, Denver Broncos hardcore fans. And you go to their page and they'll have like 13, 14,000 followers and it seems legit. And they'll post a picture. They'll utterly lie. They'll completely lie with what they say in the picture. Like, oh, Broncos execute trade for Tyreek Hill. And then it'll say something like, read here. And if you click into the comments, the first comment is a link. And it doesn't even take you a lot of the time to an article that is semi on the subject. It's like spammy stuff. So beware of that. Careful that you're following ethical to some degree. Ethical. I mean, fan pages aren't always going to be super ethical, but at least not lying, right? Not blowing smoke. So you'll have to, if you have any further insight on that, you could even find the link or anything, drop it in the chat, and I can check it out, buddy. But yeah, I don't think in this case, Tyreek Hill's great, dude. Don't get me wrong. Broncos don't really need him. They're loaded for bear. Glenn from Down Under, what's up, big dog? Great to see you this morning for you, right? Since you're in the future. Good evening. He says, happy Monday to you all. Bo Nix is the real deal. He put surgery before the Pro Bowl. He has that very rare cerebral mentality. Broncos for life, MHH for life, hashtag state of me. That's right, dude. And you're one of the great exemplifiers of that phrase that I spun out of nothing. I don't know where it came from, but it stuck. Broncos country is not a geographic location. It is a state of being. And that means it's wherever you are, and you're in Melbourne. So, yeah, Bo Nix, that is a really good point, dude. You talk about it would have been real nice to get that accolade on his resume, right? Even though he wasn't voted a starter for the Pro Bowl, he was voted as an alternate. And it's not even a game anymore, right? It's the Pro Bowl games where it's just a shell of what it used to be, but it still factors into the resume when it comes to contract negotiations, um, future stuff like Hall of Fame, all that stuff. Pro Bowl still matters, having that on your resume. And even though he wasn't voted a starter as an alternate, when someone ahead of him who was voted a starter opts to beg off and not participate, that opens up a spot for an alternate. If that alternate accepts, boom, they are a Pro Bowler. It goes on their resume as a Pro Bowl, not Pro Bowl or alternate, which doesn't show up on the resume. So he had a chance to really punctuate an already insanely impressive rookie campaign with a Pro Bowl. He could have gotten the surgery later. Honestly, he could have. Because what are they doing down there? They're just running around in shorts, doing a little flag football. He could have done it later, but his eyes on the prize, dude. He wanted to get that done ASAP so he'd have as much runway as possible to be ready to go for his team, for the fans. Excellent point, buddy. Phil, what's up, dude? Good to see you, my dog. Tucson Phil saying, good evening, Chad. I can see Bo going over 4,000 yards this year. His second year and new weapons to throw to. #Buckham. Yeah, dude, like just the improvements at running back. So removing the passing aspect, just the improvements at running back with RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, that's going to take so much pressure off of Bo Nix. And it's going to take a lot of the focus off of him because he was running a lot too last year, right? Especially before he hurt his back against the Raiders. He was running like crazy. Then you throw in Evan Ingram. People don't even understand. I mean, I'm touching wood as I say this because it is, of course, a health-willing kind of proposition. But Evan Ingram alone, dude, is going to really help the whole offense, especially Bo Nix. Sean Payton talked about that interior triangle and how Evan Ingram completes it. But that being as it may, it also takes a lot of the attention off of Courtland Sutton, so opponents can't freely just double team him. It's going to open things up underneath for Marvin Mims. It's going to open things up for all of them. So Bo Nix is loaded for bear. Plus, he's returning all 5 of his offensive line starters on a unit that was ranked top 1 or 2 in the entire NFL. So, yeah, dude, Bo Nix, that's why I'm telling you, like, I don't think the NFL at large is honestly sleeping on the Broncos anymore. But on an individual level, I do think they are still kind of underestimating Bo Nix for what it's worth. Phil, thank you, buddy. So good to see you. Appreciate you. Okay, let me see what else we got here. Yeah, Mike, I'm anti-Hill as well. I really don't see the need for it. Yeah, Kirk, can't wait. It's going to be so great this year. Shiloh, what's up? He says, what's good, Chad? I loved the Plummer love the other night. Got to look back to see who they could have drafted over Cutler and imagine a couple of seasons of Plummer and Marshall. I know. Well, let's take a look at it. 2006 first round draft. Let's go to it. Pro Football Reference. Okay, so here's a few names. Remember, Jay Cutler was the 11th overall pick in the draft. So here are a few guys that they could have taken instead. How about a guy by the name of Haloti Nada? That would have been nice. Chad Greenway, the linebacker, who went on to have a very productive career with the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, let me see. I'm just keeping it kind of first round. Tamba Hali would have helped back then. Seriously, that was one of the big bugaboos for Mike Shanahan was defensive line, and they ran a 4-3 back then, and he just could not get consistent pass rush. He had no dynamic pass rusher until what year was it? I'm trying to remember what year Elvis entered the league. Did you know his middle name is Cool? Kool? He's already got a cool first name, Elvis, and his middle name is Cool. All right. That's right. 2006. So Doomerville, he took a little bit of time getting up to speed, though. I'm trying to remember. First year, 06. No, he was solid as a rookie, actually. 8.5, 2007, which was the second to last Shanahan season. 12.5 sacks. I'm forgetting about Doomerville in the Shanahan pass rush department. And then 08, bit of a step back. He only had 5 sacks. Then he led the NFL. Did he lead the NFL? Anyway. Oh, no, not lead the NFL. Tied Broncos all-time single season. 2009 was 17 sacks. All right, but back to the point here. Who else could they have drafted besides Jay Cutler? I mean, there's another corner, Jonathan Joseph, right, that ended up in Cincinnati, then Houston. I mean, Santonio Holmes. That would have been dope to give Jake Plummer another weapon. D'Angelo Williams had a great career. Almost got to 10K, 10,000 yards rushing. How about a new tight end like Mercedes Lewis, who, golly, still going. Homie's still going. Nick Mangold, a dominant center. Maybe not what might not have been like the perfect fit for the zone scheme. Joseph Adai, who ended up as a Peyton Manning weapon in the backfield. Frickin' D'Amico Ryans, first pick in the second round. Even DeQuell Jackson. I mean, we had a good linebacker core for the most part at that time. But then again, no, that's Al Wilson got hurt, and that did change things. So, yeah, I hear you, buddy. I hear you. I'm back on screen. I was looking off on another screen, but what could have been, I don't know. But I'm a huge Plummer fan. And I don't know if you're much of a reader, Shiloh, but a couple, 2-3 years ago when things were really, really raging with the podcast, not to say that it's not now, but like when it was full on critical mass and there weren't like 30 million other competing podcasts like ours in Bronco land. I also did this show and I'm bringing it back. Here's a sneak peek. I am bringing it back, but I called it Bronco Book Club. And one of the books we read together was Slow Getting Up, which was written by former Broncos receiver turned tight end Nate Jackson. And there's an excellent chapter on that era, which he was around for, right? Called Plummer's Crack. That's the name of the chapter. And boy, oh boy, talks about how the Cutler draft pick landed in that locker room and what transpired in 06 that led to Plummer's demotion. So anyway, good stuff. And we're going to be bringing back Broncos Book Club here very, very soon. Eric Flynn, what's up, pal? Are there any free agents left you'd want the Broncos to sign? Well, now, let's see. Let me go to Spot Rack and see what we got here. I mean, I don't look, guys, at this roster and see a huge weakness. I have advocated in the past for CJ Mosley as a nice insurance policy, but it is somewhat counterintuitive because insurance, it's hard to have an insurance policy that can't be relied upon. But then again, anyone who's ever actually had to like utilize home insurance or like gnarly health insurance, sometimes they try to screw with you when you end up wanting to cash in on all that money that you've been paying them monthly. I digress. He's had a lot of injuries recently, so that's the point of, well, is he really an insurance policy? But when I look at linebacker, I mean, no, I need it available, Holmes, UDFA. That's the only thing that really gives me a little bit of a, butterfly feeling at all in my stomach is linebacker depth. I'm actually really stoked on the top two guys, and I believe that if Dre Greenlaw and Alex Singleton are able to stay healthy, they are going to make one hell of a dynamic duo. But that's a big if. And the Broncos are obviously very confident in being able to keep Greenlaw healthy, or else they wouldn't have paid him. But until he proves it, it's a question. So what do you got behind him? Justin Sternad comes back on a 1-year deal. Yeah, he got some experience last year. The first part of it was pretty good, but his play recognition and his tackling was terrible down the stretch. Drew Sanders, I'm excited to see him take hopefully a step as an inside linebacker, but we can't count on it. You can't count on it, until you see it. Broncos have said a lot of good things, and they're keeping him locked at inside linebacker, not moving him inside out. But still, till you see it. So that's the only spot I'd really kind of look for an upgrade, if possible. But I'm not going to go crazy spending on it either. So inside linebacker, no, not UFA. There we go. And once again, I need available. There we go. So you got CJ Mosley. He's the number one guy, but his previous annual average per year was 8.6 million. I wouldn't want to pay a guy to come in as a failsafe and a really good one at that, just shy of 10 million, but he's getting long in the tooth now. He's a 10-year veteran. He's 33. You might be able to get him for $5 or $6 million bucks. And if you could do that, I'd be here for it. Just looking at these names, no one else really jumps out. So that's my answer for you, big dog. I hope it makes sense. Shiloh back on the Broncos of old. Maybe they could have traded back to get more than 4 picks in 2007. Jarvis Moss, Marcus Thomas, Ryan Harris was the only one. 25% of a hit rate. Yeah, dude. Marcus Thomas, he had a little bit big defensive tackle. A little bit of an impact, but certainly didn't live up to his pedigree. I'm with you. Ryan Harris ended up coming back to the manger too and winning a Super Bowl with the Broncos long after he had left. It's kind of cool. My 12-year-old's a big fan of that chapter's name. Yeah, Plumber's Crack. No B in it though, just 2 M's. Plumber's Crack. Coming back to Glenn, Bo Nix will improve due to his own work ethic. He won't have a slow start the first 4 games. Real quick to put a pin in me before I keep reading, that's something that Sean Payton it's really kind of been a burr under his saddle, sticking in his craw, so to speak. Both seasons he's been in Denver, slow starts in both. I mean, I'm trying to remember year 1. I think it was, let me look, Denver Broncos 2023 schedule, PFR. I'm trying to remember. It was definitely a slow start, but let me remind myself. Yeah, both years starts 0-2. Year 1 with the Broncos, 0-3. And that third one was that brutal Miami loss. And then, of course, last year starts 0-2, and the Broncos became one of the very few teams statistically that are able to overcome an 0-2 start and make the playoffs. So Sean Payton is very, very focused on ensuring that doesn't happen again. It's time to start off strong. So if you look at this schedule, and we get over to it real quick here. If you look at this schedule, I'm going to drop it in the scratch and sniff so we can look at it together. But if you look at this schedule, Glenn, I'm going to come back to you. I think the table is set for a strong start. Tennessee Titans with a rookie quarterback, so already the worst team in the league. And yes, Cam Ward's got some skills, but he drew a tall order having his first career start against this defense. Then you got to go on the road, and don't totally look past the Colts, guys, because we'll see what ultimately ends up being the quarterback situation there. But even with a less than ideal Anthony Richardson in Denver last year, they played him pretty tough, and it wasn't looking too good until Jonathan Taylor dropped that ball on the goal line. Then the tide turned, right? So don't sleep on him, but still, I look at those first 2 matchups, I see 2 wins. You get to week 3, you're on the road. You didn't beat the Chargers last year. You haven't won in LA there for a while. That's a tough one. And the Bengals. So I think this week 3 game, you got to win. You got to win that one, not only because it's division, but you got to snap this little mini winning streak the Chargers have with Jim Harbaugh. And brace yourself for a complete fireworks show on Monday Night Football against the Bengals. Both teams have a revenge interest in that game because the Broncos want to get back at them for the overtime game, week 17 last week. The Bengals want to get back at the Broncos for totally ending their playoff hopes by defeating Kansas City in the season finale. But still, I look at those first two and I go, well, you can at least get out to a 2-0 start. I think good chance you can win in LA with the upgrades that have been made and what Sean Payton and his staff have learned about Jim Harbaugh and company. And this one's going to be tough, dude. Just Joe Burrow, man. That dude's insane. So, long story short, if you come out of that first quarter 3-1, oh, baby, you're cooking with grease. I know you're supposed to say cooking with gas, but when I was a kid, I had a friend who would say, yeah, you're cooking with grease. And I just thought that's what it was until I realized, no, he's got it wrong. But it's still funner to say, in my opinion. James E., the Doc JC in the house. What's up, big dog? Great to see you. Thank you for the very generous super chat this time of year, guys. Michaela, Papa Bear, David, Taylor Christensen, Phil, Eric. You guys, it really, seriously, like it's a godsend. You know, I say it helps keep the lights on. This time of year, it really, really does. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. James says, I wish that we would have never fired Shanny. We have a better talent than Plummer and Cutler, both of whom I love. Bo Nix is still Denver's man. Plummer almost gave Shanny a third Super Bowl appearance. I know, dude. Pick the penultimate worst game to have his worst performance as a Bronco. That AFC title game. We were talking about that last night. So disappointing. And especially the way the Broncos got to the Super Bowl. They had to defeat the defending AFC and world champ New England Patriots, and they did. So you had that Champ Bailey interception in the end zone. Remember that he ran back 99 yards. He thought he had it made in the shade, let off the gas a little the last 10 yards. And who was that? Ben Watson knocked him out of bounds. And the Broncos got lucky in that call because it could have been a touchback and a turnover, giving the ball back to New England. But anyway, yeah, those were the times, dude. And Shanahan, we talked about this last night also, that, you know, Shanahan had, well, I guess I should say Pat Bowlen, late great Mr. B, had Joe Ellis in his ear saying, hey, man, Mike said he needed his quarterback and we'd get over the hump. We allowed him to use that first-round pick on a new quarterback, and we haven't been to the playoffs since. And really, it was the way that 2008 season ended, you know. That's if the Broncos finish 8-8 in whatever that was of Shanahan's 14th or 15th season, whatever it was, on its by itself, and they miss the playoffs, he maybe doesn't get fired. But back in, you know, basically all they had to do was win one of their last three and they're in. And Shanahan, as veteran and experienced, he's been to the top of the mountain twice as a head coach. You got to get one of those wins, man, get to the playoffs. So he had a few things going against him in that, but I remember back then as a kid, as a fan, I guess I wasn't a kid, but as a young man, reading about how difficult it was for Mr. Bowlen to fire Shanahan because not only everything he'd done for the franchise, but they were close friends. So that was a tough moment. Shiloh saying again, Nick and Eric talked about George and Sean's contracts. So Peyton and Peyton, assuming things go relatively well, how long do you think we can keep that duo in town? Curious about Sean as he ages. He is starting to look older, right? Like, have you guys noticed that? He's looking older and older. Like, you know, it's kind of like going broke. It happens slowly and then quickly. I think that's kind of the same thing with dudes aging, or age generally speaking, kind of happens slowly and then quickly. But I think they're both here for the long haul. So when their contracts come up, the Walton Penners will take care of them. And Sean Payton's not that old, relatively speaking. He's starting to look at, let me remind myself exactly, 63 is the year he was born. That puts him at 61. So, yeah, I would say he probably wants to coach at least another 4 or 5 years at least, and maybe go into his early 70s. Because a lot of these guys, look, they stopped doing it for the money a long time ago, right? Sean Payton's been generationally wealthy for a long time. They do it because the addiction to the chase, right? The competition and just everything that goes into it. These guys live and breathe it, and just like we do, the off season for them is just as compelling as the games and just everything that goes into it. He's straight up addicted. He thought he could quit it, right? When he stepped down from the Saints, 1 year, Broncos job comes open. He's like, yeah, I'm out. I'm going back. So, anywho, I think he and George Payton, let me remind myself of George's age. George Payton, that's the one. He's only 55. Now, he actually looks, I think, a little bit younger than his age. Payton, you could maybe argue, Sean, that is, also looks a little bit younger than 61. But George, he's looking svelte, looks real athletic. And when you see him face to face, he doesn't look, you don't see those crags and the marks of age like you do in Sean, who, in fairness, has 6 years on him. So, anyway, yeah, those guys are here. As soon as those contracts come up, Walton Penners will take care of them. That's that. Let me see. Howie, what's up, brother? Who will be Bo's best mid-range target first? Tight end, running back, or tight end? Hashtag Buckham. It's going to be Evan Ingram. Mid-range, right? Interior triangle. But the running backs, I think you're going to see them utilized in the passing game a lot more this year. Sutton's also going to be used a lot as a mid-range target. He's that big quintessential possession receiver. So, yeah, to answer your question, my brother, it's going to be Evan Ingram is going to be that guy. And it's going to take a lot of attention off the other dudes and open up some big stuff over the top. Because when you're constantly attacking underneath, whether it's with play action or just straight up drop back game, the safeties, and you're succeeding at it. You're moving the chains, man. The safeties start drawing closer and closer and closer. And you got guys with the speed that a Marvin Mims and a Troy Franklin have. Booyah, over the top, just like in that Buffalo game to open up that wild card game. Oh, okay, all right. I hear you, Glenn. But I'm realizing I'm sitting here at 38 minutes, and I gotta cover this one last thing real quick, and I want your guys' thoughts on it. So, coming back to this, these are the guys who, again, I'm saying, risers 2025. I already talked about Bo, Marvin Mims. All right, Marvin Mims Jr. That's a great shot of him breaking the plane in that season finale against the Chiefs. But you guys are seeing this. Yeah, you're seeing that. I think this guy unlocked something. You got to remember, he finished, granted, it was only his second year, but a career high in receptions and yards. And that 503 yards and 6 touchdowns, the bulk of it happened from week 10 on. If you take his production week 10 on as a wide receiver and extrapolate it over a full 17-game season, guys, the statistics are stunning. He's in line for a huge season. So I think Marvin Mims, Devon Vele, I'm not worried about his ankle. All right, Devon Vele is, think about this. The most productive rookie season for a 7th-round pick last year, Devon Vele, since Marcus Colston. And what do Vele and Colston have in common besides their draft pedigree? Sean Payton. You're going to see Vele do some great things. And I know there's only so many touches to go around, right? When I talk about risers, you're going to see a guy like Vele outdo what he did last year. I think Mims is going to be a 1,000-yard guy. I'm not sure there'll be quite enough bites at the apple for Vele to be a 1,000-yard guy, but he's definitely a riser. J.K. Dobbins, look, he had a 900-yard season last year, career high with the Chargers. Depending on how things shake out with R.J. Harvey and the touch share and the way that works, I see him having the opportunity to break through that. On the other side of the ball, and again, this is all guys health willing, okay? Dre Greenlaw. There was that story, I don't know if you remember, not long after the Broncos signed him, Fred Warner, who is one of his best friends, and they used to be the two starting linebackers on that Niners defense, said that, hey, look, man, he's going to be amazing for the Broncos. And I think it was an agent, might have been someone else, maybe a former teammate, said that, hey, look, man, in San Francisco, you're always going to be Pippen. You're always going to be Scottie Pippen. And he wants to be Jordan. So that's why he left San Francisco and why he came to Denver. This dude, his specialty is coverage, but he is just a fierce physical. I mean, he's as good as a run defender, but the fact that he can also cover in Bronco land, that's an anomaly. We haven't seen that in many moons. Dre Greenlaw is going to be an absolute stud and rise from the ashes. Could be a comeback player of the year candidate. And this one might be a little bit controversial, but I don't see the Zadeh Barron pick as a bona fide threat to Riley Moss. I see it as a direct threat to Jaquan McMillan. And I mean, think about this, guys. Yes, the Broncos, if they have any kind of distaste in their mouth over Riley Moss, it's simply that how dependent they are on him, and that he has, in both years he's been a pro, gotten injured, missed games. So Barron is not only meant to upgrade nickel, but upgrade the depth because he can play outside. But guys, do you think if we could recognize how quickly the Broncos passing defense went south when he left the lineup down the stretch, you don't think the Broncos are well aware of that? He's integral to the defense. He's integral to the secondary. And that was his first year as a starter. Riley Moss is the next guy I'll say is dang near a guaranteed riser. You're going to see it be Moss, Barron in the slot, Surtain on the boundary. All right. KKK. KKK. I got to get out of here pretty soon, guys. I'm going to take one last look at the chat. Okay, I see. Okay, where'd that go from Glenn? Going back to the post. Okay. No, that's not Glenn. Clayton, what's up, buddy? I'll come to you. Don't worry. Slow start. The defense will have us on the field more. Better blocking from Dobbins and Bryant will open up the pass in the run game. Dobbins and Harvey will run well too. Conservative, 40 touchdowns. This is Bo Nix. 4,200 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, 8 picks or less. I like it. 40 touchdowns. Now that's really swinging for it. You know what I mean? I mean, the only Bronco quarterback to ever throw for more passing touchdowns in a single season than Bo Nix, believe it or not, is Peyton Manning. John Elway's career high single season was 27. So for a long while there, it was Jake Plummer and John Elway shared the single season passing touchdown record. They were established vets. Bo Nix comes in year 1, 29. So in that sense, I could see what you say. Well, yeah, if he could do that as a rookie. Peyton Manning is the only quarterback to ever wear this uniform that passed for 40 or more touchdowns. And I got to remind myself of something real quick here. Peyton Manning, year 1, 37 with the Broncos in 2012, of course, 55. And then 39 in 2014, and then just 9 in his last year because he was hurt for half the season. And he was learning the Kubiak offense, which was vastly, wildly different than what he had operated his whole career. But my point is, I'm not saying it's not possible. Is it probable though? Let me take a look at Drew Brees. We know he went over 40 more than, or did he? Yeah, a couple times. So Drew Brees' career high in touchdowns. In 2011, he threw for 46. In 2012, he threw for 43. So his second year, let's look at his second year with Sean Payton, 28. All right, 34 in year 3, 34 in year 4 with Payton. That was the year they won the Super Bowl. So twice he eclipsed 40 passing touchdowns in a single season. And we're talking about a future Hall of Famer, but it's a Sean Payton quarterback, and it's Bo Nix, who has been considered, baby Drew Brees, the new Drew Brees, stylistically, long before he ever ended up with Sean Payton, right? That's what it was being said about him as a prospect. So, all right. Hey, man, I love it. I love it. I hope you're right, big dog. Okay, I don't want to leave Clayton out. Clayton, great to see you, buddy. Longtime supporter of MHH. You the man. Says, I've been a Broncos fan over 30 years. Been a while since I've been this stoked, man. An elite defense. I personally think a high-flying offense. Bo Nix, over 4,000 yards, 35-ish passing touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns, healthy legs this time. So 600 yards rushing, 10 picks. Your thoughts on my stats? Well, kind of similar to what we were talking about with Glenn. I think north of 4,000 passing yards is in the cards, not just possible. Like, he's going to eclipse 4,000 this year. I actually think your passing touchdown is pretty fair, considering as a rookie, he hit 29. So like 35 touchdowns, which, guys, do you remember 2012 and 2014? Not quite on the level of 13, but still it felt like Peyton Manning was tossing touchdowns left and right. And he was in that department. He was in that area. 36 in 12, 39 in 14. So 35 would redound to enormous scoring and lots of wins. The 10 rushing touchdowns, I think that's quite a bit high. But then again, he rushed for 4 as a rookie and basically stopped rushing from, what was that Raiders game, week 12-ish, something like that on. So I still think it's a little rich, though. 600 yards, yeah, possibly. That's feasible. I just think that, especially now they got Harvey and Dobbins, I don't think that's 10 picks. Yeah, that would be 2 less than he threw last year. So that would be an improvement. Okay. Mike, who do you think will be the interceptions leader this year? Good question. Good question. Maybe Riley Moss. Sounds weird, right? What does Sean Payton always say about Moss anytime he gets brought up? How are you feeling about Riley Moss's development, coach? And he always teams with pride, and he discusses it this way. Here's how he postures it. When you're playing opposite of Pat Surtain, you're going to get a lot of business on the boundary. And Riley Moss handles his business, so to speak. So he's got a much higher higher rate of targets, which gives him more opportunity for picks. So maybe Riley Moss, but if I am being held to an actual prediction, like if I were really trying to go on the record, I would say Patrick Surtain still, once again. But it wouldn't surprise me if one of the 2 safeties pull it off, or even Barron. Barron's a straight ball hawk, dude. What am I talking about? It's probably going to be Barron, dude, assuming he plays as basically starter role, whether it's nickel or maybe I'm dead wrong and they replace Moss with Barron on the boundary. I don't think that's what's going to happen, barring injury, but could be Barron leads the team in interceptions. We'll see. All right, let me see here, guys. About out of time. Shiloh with a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Hoping to see Evan Ingram highlights from Tight End University. Yeah, dude. I am stoked for that. Hold on, I'm just checking something real quick. When you're solo and these little, like normally when I'm on with Zach, I'll wait till Zach's talking to do this kind of stuff. But I'm checking to see here. Yeah. Let me come back. Hold on. Yeah, dude, that's going to be awesome. I'm just reading up a little bit about. I don't know that much about it, so I'm just kind of reading up a little, but I better not do that while I've got all of y'all, hoping that I am entertaining and edifying you. We'll look forward to that for sure, though, Shiloh. And thank you, Big Earn. Appreciate you, my friend. Shiloh Elway was a blessing, got his own way as a GM, got guys here, but didn't want to pay him after the first contract. Elway doesn't get enough credit, man. Seriously, like even amongst the fans as a GM. I mean, without John Elway, you don't get 2 more Super Bowls and one more world championship, because his pitch to Peyton Manning was the difference. The way he sold the Broncos, didn't pressure him. And so it wasn't only the pitch, but it was that combined with Peyton Manning's comfort in Elway's presence. And the fact that in his first year as the top football executive in Denver, the Broncos emerged from, whatever it was. 2005 had been the last time they'd been to the playoffs. So 5 years, 6 year, whatever it was, playoff drought with Tim Tebow as your quarterback. John Elway deserves a lot of credit just for the fact that he was able to recruit the biggest free agent fish in the history of the NFL. Remember, Peyton was only 36. Like, people could argue now that, oh no, Tom Brady has now become the biggest free agent fish when he went from New England to Tampa. No, yes, they were both older, but Peyton at 36, even though he was coming off the neck thing, he still had a good window of opportunity to where the Broncos gave him a 5-year deal, and he ended up hitting a wall in 2015. But I don't know if they don't win a Super Bowl that year. Does he try and come back? Probably not. Does he try and play on that last year of his contract? With how quickly he was declining physically, the nicks and bumps that would only barely derail him as a young quarterback were costing him half the season, the plantar fascia. And not only that, he was grateful for Kubiak at the end of the day. They were able to achieve something great together, but trust me, he was no fan of that offense. And I don't think he was a huge fan of Kubiak's kind of way. But again, he can't be too big of a critic because it resulted in great things. But there's that, the Super Bowl 50 championship. If you bought the Blu-ray back then, it was still a thing. I don't know if people still buy Blu-rays, but I bought the Blu-ray of the, whirlwind Super Bowl 50 season. And there's that scene where Peyton Manning is doing his recovery up from the plantar fascia tear, and he's wearing his helmet. He's got one foot in the hot tub or whatever. And then he would go to the dome at Broncos HQ, the covered field, and pass as he got a little bit closer. And he wasn't supposed to. Kubiak didn't want him doing it, but he was doing it anyway. And his coaches were filming the throws so that eventually it would get back to Kubiak and he could see that he's got his groove back. And you'd see him like flipping off the camera and stuff because he knew Kubiak was going to be watching. Like, there was some passive aggressive stuff happening. I'm not sure Peyton would have wanted to come back and play for Kub again. But then again, Kub only came back for one more year and said adios. So kind of weird how that shook out. All right, guys, 53 minutes. James E again. Bo Nix is Shannon Sharp is Ingram. Am I wrong? No, you're not wrong. Yeah, I mean, Ingram's nowhere close to the Hall of Fame guy that Sharp is, but if, he's going to be productive. If he stays healthy, Ingram, he's going to provide Pro Bowl caliber play at tight end. When's the last time the Broncos had a Pro Bowl tight end? Probably Julius, right? They were hoping Noah Fant would be that guy, but alas. Let me see here. Are Ron and Dylan, Phil wants to know, coming back on Saturdays? Yeah, the Saturday show is going to be coming back here in the not too distant, without airing their personal stuff and the stuff that's going on in their lives that's preventing them from Saturdays being consistent. The Saturday show will return. So Saturday will return, Phil. And you know what? If I'm going to take the foot off the gas on any of the nights that we do the live streams, this is the time of year to do it, summertime. So it'll be coming back. Let not your heart be troubled. And thank you for asking, by the way. I'm sure that means a lot to them too. Glenn, in the name of my USO. I don't have my syntax interpreter. Another great night. Oh, that's right. Ronk, we haven't seen Ronk tonight. So once again, another great night on the Mile High Huddle podcast. Chad flying solo. Bridge the gap. Bridging the gap without Zach and Scott. Mile high salute to all. Thank you, pal. There was one other thing I saw, guys. Let me scroll up and see what I... Here we go. I still have never forgiven Joe Ellis for his mishandling of Pat Bowlen's legacy. Long spiraled downhill. Thank God for John Elway recruiting Peyton freaking Manning. Yeah, dude. I don't want to... Don't get me started on Joe Ellis. And I mean, it worked out for the best. But there was one member of the Bowlen family that I think could have been a really good owner. And unfortunately, she was the black sheep in Ellis's, purportedly anyway, in Ellis's estimation. And so it ended up, of course, getting sold and leaving the Bowlen family. But don't feel too bad for the Bowlens, guys. You know, they made many billions of dollars, so they're okay. But yeah, Ellis, that the legacy, I honestly, I feel you, because I get my dander up at the thought of it, especially back then too. But Pat Bowlen's legacy was set in stone, ironclad, locked in, hammered home when John Elway stood at the podium post Super Bowl 50 and said, iconic, this one's for Pat. Full circle, full stop. Got what he wanted. So RIP to Mr. B. Thank you again, Big Earn. I'm trying to remember what season we're talking about, Adam. Gave up watching after that season. It's far enough back, I'm not sure what season we were talking about at the time you made that. But guys, hey, listen, I got to get going. Oh, Uso means brother. Got you. All right. I feel you. Thank you. Don't forget, guys, to connect with us on X at the MHH Pod, also at Mile High Huddle, Facebook. Find the Mile High Huddle podcast page. Give it a like. You want to get a hat, you want to get a t-shirt, mhhmerch.com. Get your swag on. Another great way to support us. And continue to give us your follows on Instagram. If you have an Instagram and you're not following at mile_high_huddle, you break my heart. Break my heart, dude. So follow us over there. Lots of content, lots of fun, unique stuff happening there. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple, on Spotify. Helps us out a lot. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I think I hit it all. Yeah. I don't have quite the panache of Zach's, end of show saying. And Glenn, I did appreciate you reaching out to me and saying, here's what he says. He sent me a DM on Facebook after the show last night, because I'm like, I don't remember exactly what Zach says, even though it's been like 1,400 episodes, the way he closes out the show. I can tell you what I say at various points. It's like locked in my synapses. But I don't want to steal his thunder. That's him. That's his thing. So I'm going to let him keep that. Thank you, James. Appreciate you, big dog. And guys, I will be off until Thursday. As I say that, I'm not sure actually what's happening Wednesday night, if Luke is back or not. So you might see me sooner, but for sure you'll see me Thursday night. Until then, a mile high salute to the great Super Chat superstars and supporters tonight, helping us keep the lights on. The Papa Bear, so stoked to hear you're getting better. Taylor Christensen, David Youngkin, the Duchess of MHH, Michaela Parker. Gene William, what up, big dog? Phil, thank you, brother. Phil McLaughlin, Eric Flynn, James E., the Doc JC, Howie Frickin' Day and the Hizzy, and Shiloh Heesh. Thanks, guys. And if you're a fan of Bronco history, by the way, Shiloh, like I mentioned earlier, we're bringing it back. Broncos Book Club is coming back. And I used to have a stack of books right here, but I've moved them elsewhere in my office. And what I've placed here on top of I've told you guys the story of how I got this helmet. It's a signed John Elway original D helmet. I've told you that story. We're late in this pod 59. Yeah, I can't tell it now, but every item here, I'll be solo again Thursday night. So hit me up on X or comment now in the chat if you want me to. This is all stuff that has been sent to me by you guys, bequeathed, with one exception. This is my Milo from the Descendants bobblehead. Okay. But everything else up there has been bequeathed to me by fans of the show and members of this community, and I could go through and explain to you what's what, who sent what. Very proud of those items. So we'll see. But anyway, guys, have a great week. Love you. Appreciate you sticking with me. I went an hour. Judas Priest. I can't believe there was enough for me to talk about by myself for an hour. I was planning on doing like 30 minutes. Time flies, dude, when you're having fun, and you guys make it fun. So thank you. I love you. Have a great week, and see you on Thursday at the latest. Wait. I'll at least do one of these.